we're back on the Founders Flipper podcast. Stewart from Franklin Hill Ventures and myself, Wes from I don't even know if you noticed it, Stewart, if you check out my moniker there.
Did you not hear me when I first came in? I called you Wes.
Wes, no, I didn't hear you.
Johnny
Flappers. And so
Johnny's out gallivanting the globe, I believe. I think he said he was going to be in Ireland or something like that last week. So,
well, since he wasn't here, I told him I would throw that up and give it a nod this week. The slime flappers. So, how's it been going, my friend?
It's been going good. It's been a busy week. I spent this last weekend with my brothers. We rented a house on the lake at Chickamauga over in near Dayton, and it was fun. Found a lot of good stuff. We went down to the Chattanooga area since we were already closer to there, and I actually learned a lot this weekend from my brothers. All three of us are resellers. My youngest brother, I think I mentioned before, he was full time for about 5 years, but they both focus more on things like clothes and hats and shoes, which I don't really do anything with that. So I was asking all kind of questions, when we got back to the car, what do you look for in jeans? What do you look for in hats? Why did you buy that? And I feel like I learned a lot. And my goals this next weekend is to make myself go look at the clothes, because I usually just skip over that stuff and, look at my antique and vintage stuff. So excited about this weekend to maybe take some of the stuff I learned from my brothers and apply it to my own buying this weekend.
Isn't it funny, though, when somebody starts talking about something, either like somebody you see online or like even your brothers you were talking about, once they point things out, how glaring it is when you go to these yard sales and you see those things that you more than likely were going to pass by, but you thought, what, I'm going to give it a second look. And maybe it turns into something that you can use. And I'm kind of interested what you were talking about. You said you learned some things. So what were some things that you pulled from your brothers?
Well, specifically like on jeans. And my brother actually, he as soon as we got back to the lake house, he started listing some things of the clothes he found. And I think he sold like 3 or 4 things overnight that he picked up. And, the stuff like he sells tends to be a little less long tail than the type of stuff I sell. So I need to add some of that kind of things to my repertoire. So like jeans, for example, I never even look at clothes in general or jeans. But, he said really any Levi's, if you can get them for $1, he said buy any Levi's you see. And he said especially if they're female, plus size are especially good to sell. But he said any Levi's will sell anywhere between $16 to $20 just for regular pairs of Levi's. So I'm going to start keeping my eyes out for that. I think he said Lee jeans sell really well as well. And then I know my brother bought, he found some, couple of pairs of Jordan shoes, and they were explaining to me the difference because I've never been a shoe person. I wear my Dockers or my Hey Dudes, that's pretty much, I hardly ever wear tennis shoes except when I walk. But they were explaining to me the difference between like Jumpman and, the Air Jordans when it was still under the Nike brand. I know Nike still makes Jumpman, I think is what they were saying. But, they were explaining to me how to look for the difference in those. And, I know they picked up some hats that I wouldn't have even given a second look to. I know they picked up a Monster hat. I guess it was the Monster energy drink, and that thing sold for like $18 within 5 minutes of listing it.
And to jump on that, I'll tell you right now, I have picked up 2 different Monster hats from Goodwill myself, and I paid I think it was like $1.99 a piece, and I sold just about like the same thing. I sold one for $16 and another for $18. And those things are amazing. So if you see those things out there, grab those because they're really good sellers.
Well, I feel like it kind of gave me I don't know if motivation is the right word, but I tend to get kind of focused on the things I look for. And as I mentioned, they're also long tail. It'd be nice to maybe add a little bit different product mix. Right now, the only clothes I ever look at are T-shirts, and I'm just looking for band shirts to sell in my booth pretty much. Mm-hmm. So, at least at yard sales. Now, John, my youngest brother, he's the one who does a ton of clothes. He he's got his rate. He's got, I don't know how many ratings he has on eBay, but I mean, he's, up in the 30,000 range of, feedback he's got. So he's done a lot of selling, but, he did say, like, it's hard to find clothes at thrift shops of the kind he sells anywhere that are priced, where you can make much money. He said really yard sales or, where you can get stuff for $1 or $2 was really at least where he finds value. So
Stewart, how many yard sales did you go to there with your brothers this weekend?
Oh, wow. We went, so Friday, so we started in Knoxville, my middle brother and I. So because John lives in McMinnville and he had to work, he works for Dollar General. And so he had to work all day Friday. So Dave and I started in Knoxville, and we probably hit 10 or 15 yard sales. There were actually a lot out on Friday, and found some pretty cool stuff on Friday. And then Saturday morning we drove to Nashville and we hit 3 or 4 different neighborhood yard sales. So we probably hit, 10 or 15 in each of those neighborhoods. So I bet we hit 50 yard sales, between, I think we left the cabin about 6:45, got to Chattanooga about 7:30. My rule of thumb is if it's an 8 o'clock start, 7:30 is generally fair game to start showing up. Although anytime I show up at a yard sale at 7:30, it seems like I'm never the first person. Somehow, there's already been 3 people here. But I try to be. I know some people don't like people showing up early, but I kind of say 30 minutes before the published start time's fair game. So we hit a bunch of them. 45, 50 yard sales. Between say 7:30 and I think we finished up about 1 o'clock.
I usually go to about 1 o'clock, and I've had my fill for the yard sale that day. When I go on Saturdays. So when we talked about this in recent podcasts that we've had, I don't know if I'm missing some sort of funk or some rut, but we really only find about 3 good yard sales, it seems now, every weekend.
Yeah,
and for whatever reason, I guess, who knows, but I don't know. We're just not having very good success as far as yard sales are concerned.
I mean, I do think that this month, October, that we're in now, is one of the better months for yard sales. I think you see a lot of neighborhood yard sales in October in our area, as well as, you kind of see them in the spring, kind of see them in the fall. The summer's been, the summers have gotten so hot that I think a lot of people just don't do them. So especially if you can find an off football weekend.
Did you hear about Chris from Flip the World? He made a statement on, I don't think it was his podcast, but he had talked about now he's going from a reseller to a wholesaler. He's not even a reseller anymore. He went and either sold off or whatever his inventory at his house. He got rid of it all, and now he's just straight wholesaling everything that he does, because he actually goes to the Goodwill bins there in Texas, and he sells on Whatnot while he's at the Goodwill bins.
Okay, that's the one we were talking about last week, I think.
Yeah, but now he's not even calling himself a reseller anymore. He's not holding that inventory anymore. He's just selling what he picks up on Whatnot, and off it goes. Whatnot. What do you think about that? Would you do something like that?
I don't know, Wes. My whole problem with filming in general is just, for whatever reason, I'm just self-conscious about filming, in public places. And, I've heard other people say that as well. It's, in today's world, so many people are filming, there's probably no reason to feel like that. But it's just like this weekend, it would have been a prime opportunity to film a video, of my brothers and I out thrift or garage selling. And I didn't really ever pick up the camera hardly to do any filming. So, I don't know that I could do that, like when I'm shopping and just like be live and selling stuff. And I just feel like I would be too self-conscious. That's just me, that's my personality. So, but
it begs the question, why do people get online on these YouTube channels, and why do they watch what people source? There's a lot of content that people are putting out with these videos they have of them going out and sourcing. I know for me, when I first started watching it, I was interested in what people were picking because that's the stuff I would go look for, and that's what I feel it is. What is Commonwealth Picker? What is he going after and picking? Can I go find the very same thing? And the other night over at the Ambet store, I'd found something that Commonwealth Picker, I'd seen him, he had sold on his channel twice. And he said, hey, you need to pick these up. And when I saw that, I was just like, that's it right there. It's one of those cookie maker things, but it's got like the little gun on it, and you squeeze them out in these little metal pieces, and it forms the cookie. But I was like, Kevin sold a couple of these. I know this is a good deal, but I think there is a lot of value in if you're able to, because I'll tell you right now, I would be interested in seeing what you went and sourced if you had that video.
Yeah, and I've made some sourcing videos. I'm just not consistent with it. My problem too is that I just don't have the mindset, I guess, of a content creator. That's not my first thought when I wake up in the morning or when I go out. And I almost think you've got to get to where, that's like second nature to you, that if you're going to walk in this thrift store, I know I'm going to have my camera out. Whether that's, some people I know use their cell phone, and other people, just wear their GoPro. And I'm sure if you're one of the ones with the GoPro, it's easier because then you flip it on and you're not really, it's not taking any effort. It's just recording, I guess, the whole time you're in there.
Well, I don't know if you've looked at my channel, but I've started getting into some of these YouTube shorts. And when I see something I'm getting ready to pick up to purchase, I'll look at it and go, hey, I want everybody to see what I saw and how I saw it. And you could add some of that little music to it, because this is an exciting little thing, because you're picking it up and you're like, hey, look, everybody, I want you to see how I found this, how it laid, or where it was in the store. But for me, the YouTube shorts is the way I'm wanting to go. That's the way I want to trend,
Well, the good thing with that, especially with you being a teacher and being as busy as you are, you don't have a ton of time to sit there and edit videos every day, I'm sure. So,
right.
For the most part, shorts are just, I filmed this, I'm putting it out there. There may be some trimming on either end, or you might splice two things together, but it's not a whole lot of, I wouldn't think it's a whole lot of time editing anyway.
Right.
And I have done, my most successful YouTube video I've ever done, which, for me, I think it was about 1,500 views, which is a ton for me. Normally I get 20. And it was when I went on the world's longest yard sale, the 127. So that was a really successful video. And then I also did one when I went on the US 21 one over North Carolina, and that one was semi-successful as well. I think our second most successful video is Amy and I cleaning the garage out. I think it got...
Which you need to get, like you said the other day, you need to get that second video out.
I know. It's like
all that up.
I know, every weekend. And it's funny because I specifically am refraining from going out to the garage and pulling stuff out of my money mountains or death piles out there, because I don't want to take anything away from the video we're going to make at some point. So, I've got all this stuff in the garage. So one day, it's like this weekend, we have we got festivals. Amy's doing a festival with our Franklin Hill Farms products, the Lucky Dog Holiday Festival, which is out in Powell at the Lucky Dog Christmas Tree Farm. And then I'll be working all weekend in Clinton at the Fall Festival. So there's another weekend we won't be able to do it. And we're both too tired to do it in the evening. So hopefully we'll find a weekend, once it's been so hot too. So now that it's starting to cool down, I know this weekend the high's in the 60s, which is going to be really nice. Hopefully now that it's cooling down, we'll find a weekend or an evening to do part 2 of that. Because I would say we have a 4-part series out there easily with the amount of junk we have out there. Well, it's not all junk, but some of it is.
It's your money piles.
Yeah, it's our money mountains.
But to go back to what you were talking about too, we believe and we think once this weather does kind of change a little bit, there's probably going to be some more people out there having those yard sales, because they like to drink a little coffee and talk to people as they come in, and people just love that about fall, especially in East Tennessee. If you've never been to East Tennessee in October, it is a sight to behold, because the leaves are really starting to change, and I've noticed here, and I'm sure you've seen it too, Stewart. Some of the trees are starting to get that hue of fall in them. Now they're starting to change, but I again I'm focused on my shorts, my YouTube shorts. I'm also focused on my money piles, like you were talking about. I've actually this week I've been able to get into 18 different things and list those that have been sitting there for a while, and I'm physically having to make myself do it because I get home from work and being a part timer, it's last thing you want to do is work some more. Let's shift gears real quick, and this is going to be one of the last things that I'd like to touch on this evening. Did you see anything from the reseller rally in Cincinnati?
Not really. I mean, I saw some posts on Facebook about it, but I haven't watched any videos or anything like that from the rally. I know a lot of the big name resellers were up there.
Yeah, there was. I know Cincinnati Picker helped put some stuff together. I know Kevin Commonwealth Picker. They had a whatnot where they did an auction, and they donated the money. I think they made over like $6,000, and they did a really, really nice job with that, and they had a lot of people donating to the cause, and a lot of different resellers were donating to it, and they sold things on Whatnot as part of that. But that's one of those things I would like to go to, especially as far as what we talked about last time. Networking is the key. I would like to have that opportunity to go to those type of things and meet some of these people that we have been talking to, either on this podcast or the one I've been talking to on the Slim Flippers podcast on mine. I guess, and I've heard some of these people say this, and I saw some of the videos, that they when they see these people, they feel like they know them, but they don't. They've talked to them, they've seen them online, and I think that would be kind of strange. I've seen you online. Don't you know who I am? But they probably look at you and go, I have no idea who you are. But most of those, I'm assuming, were full-time resellers. It seems like there are a lot of them were full-time resellers. I know there's some part-timers there, but I wish there would be something done, and I know we talked about this in the last one, trying to do something close to a weekend so some of the people that, like myself, Johnny, can get to these events, because this is just something I can't do during the week,
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I think we've talked about it a little bit on one of our past shows, but I mean, it's hard to quantify the return you get. I mean, if you're looking for a dollar for dollar return, you're probably not going to find it, but there's so many intangible things you get. I went to the only one I went to this year was Camp Listing Party in Phoenix. And I mean, it was really good. I liked it because it was all in one place. I think it was similar to the one over at the FlipCon. It was self-contained in one hotel as compared to, say, the Boss Reseller Remix, which I love as well. I wished I was going this year. I think it starts the 17th, so here in a couple of weeks. But I just
and where is that one at again?
Vegas. Yeah, I mean, and it's run by Katie, Vicky, and Teresa Cox, and they do a really great job with it. And I mean, they basically do this kind of a charity event for the Blind Center of Nevada, and I mean, that place is incredible, and the stuff they're doing there. But I just, with my daughter getting married this summer, we couldn't really swing going to that one, so. I'm missing going. I'm hoping to go to at least one next year. But yeah, they're definitely the relationships you make, and just the ability to meet some of the people that you've seen on YouTube before. Although it's funny, when I first went to the very first Boss Reseller Remix, I was standing like at the welcome reception, and there was a guy and a girl standing there, and Amy wasn't with me at the first one. She went last year, but I just started talking to him, and it was Josh, Harry Tornado. I mean, I didn't know. I mean, I'd never watched a YouTube video in my life. So, I was just talking and, and I didn't know who it was. And I guess I learned later who it was. And, I went up to him. I said, "Hey, I'm sorry I didn't, recognize you." And he said, "No." He said, it's actually nice when we meet people who don't know who we are. So, you're just carrying on a conversation for the sake of carrying on a conversation. So anyway, so that was, I would definitely recommend going though, if you have have an opportunity to do so. And some of them are during the summer, so that you would be.
Yeah. Now there was one this summer, and I actually, it was out in Phoenix, I believe. Maybe it was it was the list perfectly.
Yeah, that was the camp listing party, and and I mean, it was pretty much like Kevin was there, Commonwealth Picker. The Hustle Bee, Ken Gaetano was there, and I mean, there were, it was the same people that I've seen at most of the other events, and I mean, it was really good. I learned a lot, but yeah, it's mainly just about hanging out and building relationships with people. So,
well, and I probably mentioned this, but Kevin had a giveaway for 5 tickets to the camp listing party online.
Yeah.
And he'd give all 5 of them away, and you had to put your name in, and I had done all that, but I didn't win one. But then he asked people to send in jokes to his son, so his son could read them on his podcast, or not on his videos, not his podcast, but his videos. And I had sent him in some jokes, and I was like, I think the first one to send him some. And Kevin said, "Well, nobody's claimed this last ticket, so I'm going to give it away right now." And so he gave me a ticket to that camp listing party. And I was able to go virtually. And I got into some of those rooms, and I got to listen to people. And, I got to extract a lot of good knowledge. So I was there just virtually. Of course, it's not like, I guess, being there. But, what an opportunity that I had to at least come into it virtually, because that costs some money. That costs some money, as I'm sure you well know, because you had to have your place you're staying at, and I think the ticket was like, it said it was like $349 to even have a ticket virtually.
Yeah, and I can't remember exactly how much the tickets were, but yeah, you had your hotel room, which, I mean, everybody stayed in the same place. So that was, real nice, because it pretty much forced everybody to hang out in the same place, as compared to, say, Boss Reseller Remix, where it's all centered around Fremont Street there. I don't know if you've ever been to the old Las Vegas, which is a cool area. There. But I mean, people are staying like 3 or 4 different hotels, so you got to kind of meet up, and it's, it just doesn't lend itself as much to just everybody hanging out in the same place. Now, it's still awesome, and it's just a different kind of conference than say Camp Listing Party or FlipCon.
Well, even Ken, I saw Ken on there. He was in a room talking, and I thought, man, this guy, he's got a great story. He's got it.
His story's incredible.
Yeah, so I immediately found out his number. I sent him a text while he was there, and I said, "Hey, you get a chance, I'd like to talk to you." He sent me back within 10 minutes or so. It was really quick. He goes, "I'd love to come on." So a few days later, I had him on the Slim Flippers.
He's just a genuinely nice guy. I mean, I haven't really met anybody nicer than him. And, I think I met him the first Boss Reseller Remix, and he was just kind of, starting to hit it big as far as like his social media and getting known out there. But I mean, I saw him the next year, and he remembered me. And
Ken's story, to sit there and listen to him, the way he started, I think he was in the Philippines.
Yep.
And he was in his car, and he ended up getting his own shop where they worked on cars, and he was just selling all kinds of things. And then he came over here to the United States, and he's been on a projection that's just up and up and up. So who did you enjoy at Camp Listing Party while you were there?
Let's see. Well, in addition to Ken, I really enjoyed Ken's session, and then his roundtable with who I can't remember who he was up on stage with. But another one I enjoyed was Katie, who she's one of the ones who's one of the people who puts Boss Resell Remix together, but she was a speaker at Camp Listing Party, and she did a session on vintage t-shirts, and it was really interesting, just telling you what to look for as far as, vintage, and giving she bought a lot of her inventory in, was giving examples on, here's things to look for, and, how much these types of things will sell for. So that was good. Trying to think.
Do you remember some of those things that she talked about?
It was just, I don't know that it was anything earth shattering, but it was
single stitch.
Yeah. Talking about single stitch, and, talking about kind of how to date things, based on the tags they might have on them. And she said, if you're lucky, they'll actually have a copyright date. But, she was comparing like selling, band t-shirts with kind of just one-off shirts. I think she had an example of some shirt that was from a school, but it just had a really cool design. It was from the 80s. It wasn't anything like anybody would have heard of, but, she said it was still probably a $20 to $30 t-shirt just because the subject matter was cool. And I don't even remember what was on the shirt now. So that session was interesting, and trying to remember who else, as I said, most of my memories are not necessarily of the sessions. They're just of the time spent hanging out in the lobby at night, just shooting the bull with everybody, and, just, talking about reselling, talking about just, what everybody's, I guess, like outside of reselling as well.
I know that some people were gathering and going to the bins or whatever to do some reselling, and there was several of them that actually went to yard sales. Were you able to do any of those things like that?
No, they organized kind of a, like you said, a bins. Well, I think they went to a couple of different thrift shops. I don't even know I think the bins may have been one of them, but that was on whatever the last day was. I think it may have been Saturday, but we had already booked our flight back, and, there's, unfortunately, when you're flying, from Knoxville, there's not a lot of options for flights. So we were kind of stuck with the flight we had, so we had to leave before they left. So yeah, I hate I missed that, but I think there were 30 or 40 people who ended up going to the different thrift shops in the Phoenix area.
Can't you see the owners of these stores and the workers seeing this mass of resellers coming toward their place and ready just to, shoes are flying, shirts are flying. I bet that's quite a sight to behold when they see all those coming at them.
Probably a lot of cameras filming, and
absolutely,
a lot of footage going. So, but no, I wish we could have gone, but yeah, we had already made our plans to fly back before we knew about that, or we might have scheduled our flight a little later.
Well, Stewart, that is all the time I believe we're going to have this evening on the Finders Flippers podcast. Hopefully, we'll be getting together next week. I'll be in Panama City, going to try to make a run at it and join you and Johnny for a little while anyway. We can do a short video, hopefully. And he's out, like you said, he's out world traveling. He won't even be available, will he?
I don't know when. I don't remember if he said when he was going to be back. Maybe I was streaming it, but I'm almost positive he said he was going to Ireland.
I think he said something like that too. So we've got to find out what exactly he's really sourcing. I think he's holding out on us,
Maybe he's over there sourcing potatoes. Isn't that what they have over in Ireland? So.
I guess Irish potatoes. I don't know. Well, you take care, my friend. Have a great weekend at your thing that you're putting on. I hope you sell a lot of stuff there. Hope your store does very well, and we'll talk soon.
All right. Well, it's good talking with you, Wes, and have a good vacation.
Thank you, sir. Y'all have a great evening.
All right. Bye, everyone.